What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka All Fires. We've heard a lot about Avengers Doomsday, but if this latest leak is correct, it actually is totally different than we thought. All of these rumors about Chris Evans, Steve Rogers possibly returning, kind of silly now considering that the whole plot may revolve around him, his past, and what it means to one specific Victor Von Doom. We're going to talk about where this latest leak is coming from, who said it, and what it would mean for the plot of Avengers Doomsday, and really recontextualizes everything we know about Dr. Doom and his motivation. We're breaking it all down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. Thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately and helped grow the channel. It's the best way to support us here at Everything Always, plus it'll enter you for the giveaways if you want. Stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this is the latest detail according to the anonymous Twitter scoopster, My Time to Shine Hello. Of course, at the channel, we always say we're going to give a lot more reverence to someone who's willing to put their name on something, and while they haven't gotten everything right, barely any scooper has done that. They do have a proven track record of getting things right in the past, so take that as you will, and if this is a spoiler for you, back out now. The latest details they revealed for Avengers Doomsday say that Steve Rogers going back in time to be with Peggy Carter created the incursion that killed Dr. Doom's family. Now Doom is hunting Steve to kill him for what he did and manipulating everyone in his path to achieve it. Now, honestly, making Steve Rogers like the main character of all of this, or the main motivation of Doom, is kind of wild to me, especially when we know we're headed for Secret Wars and Loki is sitting at the center of the multiverse. I think we all sort of assumed that Doom's plans were bigger than just a simple revenge story, but who knows where he'll get tripped up along the way or what lengths he'll go to achieve that. Now, also, bringing Steve Rogers back after all this time, when we had all of these introductions of new characters during the multiverse, may feel like it somehow maybe cheapens or lessens any of those introductions, but it really doesn't. What it's doing, and we talked about this in previous videos, is tying what happened in the Infinity Saga now into the Multiverse Saga, making one of the consequences of what we saw in Avengers Endgame having a direct impact on Avengers Doomsday. So if you sort of think about it, the Avengers will pick up right where they left off, almost with the exact same ensemble, except this time Tony Stark is going to be on the opposite side of the battlefield, calling himself Victor Von Doom. Which brings us to our next point. It really goes a long way in explaining why in the world Victor Von Doom would choose Tony Stark's face if and when that's exactly what happened. We've talked about that in previous videos, and trust me, there's a year between now and Avengers Doomsday. More theory videos on that to come. But in the meantime, choosing Tony Stark's face may have a whole new meaning here, in that he chose Tony Stark's face specifically because he's going after Steve Rogers. And if he wanted to manipulate any of the 616 heroes, any of the heroes at all, into becoming his followers and understanding his cause, rather than present himself as an unknown, obvious villain in Victor Von Doom, he would need to choose the face of an ally, again, in order to sway any of them into thinking that maybe Steve Rogers is the actual enemy. Now, I don't see that happening under any circumstance. As soon as Sam would see Steve and vice versa, well, assuming that Steve would know who Sam is and that he's not a variant that doesn't have Sam in his past, which would be really undercutting the story, so let's assume it won't go that way. But again, they're going to instantly trust each other and not someone named Victor Von Doom who presents himself as a dead old ally in Tony Stark, again, which every hero knows passed away. Now, we know that there are huge differences between the universes from variant to variant. For instance, Norman Osborn showed up in the 616, and if we believe what he said, he doesn't even exist in that timeline. Asterisk by that because he may be introduced in an upcoming Spider-Man film in the MCU, but at least up until now, he wasn't the Norman Osborn of Oscorp because he said someone else was in his house and he couldn't find an Oscorp building. Now apply that to what we know about Victor Von Doom possibly losing his family because of Steve Rogers. Now, on its surface level, it should remind you of what we saw from a familiar hero also become a villain enduring the Multiverse Saga with Scarlet Witch. She went on this same warpath in an attempt to find a multiverse version of her kids where they could be together. That could lend itself to the motivations of Dr. Doom. That's where we pick up with the latest update that Steve and Peggy Carter might actually have kids. And although it would be super dark to go down this path, he may be looking to avenge his family's death by killing Steve Rogers' family as well. That might be the whole point of this. And where Scarlet Witch had the Darkhold, which allowed her the opportunity to dreamwalk and make that a reality, we know at least right now Von Doom probably doesn't have multiversal technology, at least right now, and that's what he could be looking for in Franklin Richards, is the conduit for that power to give him the ability to actually start traveling the multiverse in order to sort of persuade as many heroes as he needs to defeat Steve Rogers. Now, Just a couple of logical things to point out as we continue to talk about the Steve Rogers of it all. We don't know if he went back in time in the 616 or traveled the multiverse. As I explained in yesterday's video, there's not a good explainer for how he would have traveled the multiverse unless something else interceded. What Tony Stark created was not a multiversal travel. It was literally going through the quantum realm in order to time travel. That's all. But you can't have Steve Rogers end up in the same universe where Victor Von Doom's incursion happened and killed his family and killed their universe. Steve Rogers wouldn't be there. Obviously, that would be incurring his own universe. So I think more likely he ended up in, say, the 828 in a wild twist of fate, which is what might have brought Victor Von Doom there in the first place, or he ended up back in time in the 616, which may have meant that's why Dr. Doom specifically targeted the 616 and stole our Tony Stark's identity in the first place. The 616 wasn't some random universe. It was the face of one of the biggest Avengers allies that Steve Rogers had. It was a face that would convince the other heroes in the 616 to possibly fight alongside him if need be, and with whatever he was trying to achieve. So again, Dr. Doom's motivation here, not to become God Emperor Doom, simply to avenge his family. Might seem like kind of a cop-out because of what we've already seen from Scarlet Witch, but obviously he's taking this much further. Now, I know I've made jokes in the past, especially during the Multiverse saga in the last 2 or 3 years, where there have been Marvel scripts, say like Secret Invasion, where I've joked, hey, give me a month and I would have written you a better script. And while I do say I was joking, I actually meant it. Man, I do not want the Russo's job at all. The Multiverse saga has been sort of a mess. There are a lot of loose ends that may count or may not. There's been a lot of contradictions to their own logic about what they've even been working towards with how the multiverse works. It's safe to say that all the details established through Loki Season 1 and Season 2 may be not as airtight or congruent as they hoped, and that's why they continue to introduce new stuff to the canon like anchor beams that was just now introduced by the TVA and during Deadpool and Wolverine. Regardless, I wouldn't want the job of the Russos to finally have to galvanize some of this stuff. Like, yeah, they've left it open-ended, they've introduced a lot of jargon and theories, but now we need to know what it actually does and why it is the way that it is. They're the ones who are going to have to pick something and stick to it. There is a lot to explain. You guys let me know all your thoughts down below if this explanation, and coming from my time to shine hello, is logical given what we already know, or if you think it's going to go down in a different way. We have so many theory videos in the works right now coming to the channel, especially as the news cycle has sort of slowed down. We expect it to be that way through the next 3 months. So again, hit that sub button if you want to keep up with all the theories and the breaking news over the next 6 months, because we're about to hit X-Men casting extremely hard. Let me know all your thoughts down below. Quickly be subbed and leave a comment to be entered for the PS5 and the other giveaways at the channel, because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. The best way to keep up with the content is to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on, and of course, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me on all other platforms under the name All Fires with original music. I would appreciate you checking my music out. Thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.